I wasn't always the invisible woman. As a child, I wished to be seen and I wanted to shine. I loved acting and dressing up. I was a disruptor though. I didn't always fit in, didn't always go about things the right way. So at infant school, when my work wasn't chosen to be put on display, I decided to get a broom and give everyone else's a brush down. That didn't go down too well with the teacher. But I liked imagining that I was different people, and being a teacher was one of them. So I remember sitting my dolls and teddies in a circle on my bedroom floor and pretending that they were my class. And I loved singing, although I have never been able to hear lyrics to songs. But there I'd be, warbling away after Sunday lunch. My parents didn't have a lot of money. It all went into the house, really, so second-hand toys and clothes and my dad getting the lion's share of meat at mealtimes was all pretty standard. But the Sunday roast, that and the weekly chocolate sweet, a Mars bar divided into 3, well, that normally resulted in a sugar rush and a mad performance followed. I felt so free in those moments. It wasn't always a happy home. I ran away at least 4 times, as young as 4. Struggling with the family tent with my brother 3 and my sister 9, we walked 2 miles away. By the time we'd set it up and our parents had finally noticed that we were missing, many hours later, we were sent straight home to bed and no tea. As I got older, I got more prepared. Took my post office book one time, bought myself some hot cross buns to eat in my camp in the wood 2 miles away. But without any close family or friends to turn to, home was always where I returned. You know, I guess it was inevitable that I was going to be a strong woman because they were the role models that I looked up to. In fact, one of my superheroines was my inspiration when my brother was being bullied at school. So I was really quite shy then. And I actually challenged Lee, the school bully, to meet outside school at Lipton's supermarket. The school bell rang. I felt really sick and nervous as I walked along the pavement, out the school gates, and walked up the path, the long walk to the shopping parade. Felt like a long walk. It was probably a minute or 2. And along the left-hand side was this spiky shrubbery. And I picked up these twigs and I snapped them round my wrist. And I carried on walking up to Lipton's supermarket, which was this huge, imposing, rectangular cement building on the left-hand side. And when I got there, there was this huge crowd of kids just waiting. And I got there before Lee. You know, I don't even think my brother was there. And I waited anxiously. And then when Lee turned up, I used Wonder Woman as my inspiration. And I did this spin, and I hit out, and I did swipe him. And he ran off, and I don't think he bothered my brother again. And in that moment, I felt seen. It didn't get me any more friends, and I soon disappeared behind the scenes. But, and Charlie's Angels. I loved them. So my sister's 5 years older than me. She used to play with other girls in the cul-de-sac, and I pleaded with them to let me join in. And I was ecstatic when they said that I could be a part of the Angels. Yeah, I wasn't so ecstatic when I found out I was playing Charlie. Do you know, it's the story of my life, playing fat middle-aged people. But anyway, my first experience of being on stage was falling off one at primary school. So I was playing the flower seller in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I was wearing this long skirt and my brother trod on the back of it. So as I walked off the step, my costume stayed where it was. I didn't. I felt so humiliated. Do you know, it wasn't the last time either. 30 years later, I spectacularly fell off stage mid-performance whilst playing a disabled American woman. And I only carried on in the next scene because I was on crutches. I couldn't walk for a month afterwards. You know, you can't make these stories up. But I lost my sparkle and I gained inhibitions instead. My mum told me to be quiet, to stop showing off, and so the invisibility cloak became the norm. But acting and theatre have followed me my entire life. One of my friends at school, that and being asked to act like a cat. Yeah. So one of my friends at school said, come and join this theatre club, it's great. So at the age of 11, I became the leopard in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And this elderly couple that lived near me, who absolutely loved this theatre, said, come and show us your audition, Denise. Now, I don't think I had any lines, but I remember feeling really self-conscious as I walked up and down as a leopard. But they encouraged me. And it was the first time ever that someone was interested in me and what I could do. And I looked on them as the grandparents that I never had. They really saw me. And I always think of that experience whenever anyone asks me to act like a cat, which has happened many times. I've played a sphinx, a cougar. I've been asked to adopt feline movements in a movie. Doesn't surprise me now. But my first big role with lines, that was as Kay in Stage Door. So she was a troubled, struggling young actress who took her own life. My mum always found it difficult to praise me, but at the age of 15, I was so proud of that role. But my mum watched on, ashen-faced, unable to say well done. I found out many years later that my grandmother had taken her own life when I was very young, and I think my mum was probably struggling with that. But at 16, when I was really quite small in stature, I was given a voice. So this director who believed in me cast me as Lady Bracknell in The Importance of Being Earnest. Now, I pleaded with her to let me audition for this role, which she said was way too big for me. And so the immortal line, handbag, came flying out of my voice and surprised everyone. So there were moments that I was seen. But in spite of my love of acting, being shortlisted at RADA, getting a drama degree, even setting up a theatre company, my self-esteem was really quite low. And I didn't believe that I could really do it. And so I stumbled through most of my life being unseen, wearing the guises that everyone else wanted me to wear. I had many cloaks and different identities. I was a marketer, I was bossy, I was a boss, I was a victim. Knife attack, age 17. I was in an abusive relationship for 7 years, but that's a whole other story. And I am a mother. The invisible woman who'd hidden her bright, bubbly child had her own bright, bubbly child. Amy, a character in her own right. She loved to dance and sing and dress up too and play teachers, but instead of sitting teddies on the floor, her stepfather and I became her class. And it was through her eyes that I saw how different our parenting had been. And believe you me, I have got stuff wrong too. But she has given me purpose and allowed me to love fully. She is a bright star in my life, and it brings me much joy to watch her shine. Oh, and I was a carer, and that's where the invisibility cloak started to slip. So my mum was dying of cancer. It took her 9 months, and every single day I expected her to die. And she deteriorated daily. And I would go in each day and I would spend 4 to 5 hours caring for her. And in that 9 months, this woman that I so desperately wanted to see me, to love me, never admitted that she was dying. She never told me how she felt about me or about life. And on the one day that I didn't go in, her last words were, "Oh, I don't know." And she died with me holding her hand. And it was at that moment I thought, that is not going to be me. I am not going to be on my deathbed thinking, "Oh, I don't know." So I gave up my job. I retrained in acting for film. I've performed on stage, in films, in street theatre. I do role plays. I'm paid and I'm recognised as an actor. But as a single woman who's approaching middle age with an 18-year-old daughter who's about to go to uni, earning less than minimum wage with no family in her hometown, I have never felt so invisible and alone as I do now. But I'm doing what I love. I'm acting, I'm singing, I still can't hear lyrics to songs, and I'm dressing up. So, what character shall I be today?